So I just uploaded my Ablasin fanfare recording on my YouTube channel. And so I thought I'd talk about playing piccolo a little bit and talk about my approach to piccolo because I had a journey that went from feeling like piccolo was disastrous for me to feeling pretty comfortable playing this instrument. But the first time I ever played piccolo, I was a senior in college, which is pretty late by today's standards, but in the 80s, it was much more common. And the first instrument I played was the school Yamaha. It was not a Yamaha. I can't remember the make, but it was a short bell school instrument, and it was pretty weak. And I could barely play more than an octave and a half range. And so when I performed it on my senior recital, I did a piece that had a very limited range, and I made it work, but it was a struggle. So I graduated my undergraduate school thinking that I was never going to tame this little monster. It was never going to be in my back pocket as one of my tools, and that piccolo was for other people and not for me. But as I got ready for graduate school auditions a few years later, I purchased my own instrument, and I bought a Yamaha custom long bell pick, which was this instrument right here. And as soon as I started playing it, I realized that a lot of my issues had been with the instrument and not really with me, because my sound immediately improved and my high register was much easier. Wasn't perfect, but it was much easier on a good quality instrument. So I started really working on it in graduate school, and my first thing that my teacher did was get me to play a more appropriate mouthpiece. I had been playing my Bach 1.5C, which is the same one that I use for my big trumpets, and it was not appropriate for piccolo at all. So he got me onto a 10.5 D rim with a D cup and an opened up back bore and throat, which helps reduce the resistance that's already being created by the short tubing of this little beast. And that helped tremendously. It got me a more pure piccolo sound, and my high register improved again. So I was already doing much better than when I was in college on piccolo, but I had one final thing to learn, and that is how to breathe. Now, on the big trumpets, your C and your B flat, we frequently need to really tank up to play big passages, and that's appropriate. But that technique does not work on this thing. In fact, it backfires pretty badly when you try that and you overpower the instrument. This thing can't handle that type of air. So I had to learn to take what my teacher called a talking or a speaking breath. So the same type of inhale I use when I'm talking is exactly what I needed to use on piccolo. Pretty much no matter what the passage was, that's what I needed to do. So when I play that Ablasin fanfare, that's the only kind of breath I'm taking when I play that thing. Learning to take just a speaking breath totally transformed my upper register. I was no longer clamping down so hard that I was shutting everything off, and I was taking the right amount of air so I wasn't creating more resistance. And in fact, 5 years ago, I performed Brandenburg for the Las Vegas Baroque Festival, and if you had told me in college that someday I would play that, I would have said you're crazy, because that's never going to be possible. So if you think piccolo trumpet is not for you, you might just need to adjust a few things, and then you might find that piccolo is actually a really fun instrument. This is actually my favorite instrument to play. I love piccolo trumpet, and I love the B flat side, especially when I never thought I would like the B flat side. A lot of people prefer A over B flat, and that's absolutely the way I used to be. But when I was in grad school doing my DMA, I started to really work on B flat, and I found that B flat was very comfortable, and I could really be very expressive on the B flat side. For some strange reason, I feel more expressive on the B flat side than the A side. So think about these things if you think piccolo is not for you, and try them out and see if it works.